But this particular word is out from the urban planning lexicon of India. I can see some of the faces are having a lot of amusement by these types of statements, which is, for me, it is further amusing. And the cities in India actually are getting remodeled to function as nodes of circulation of global finance and high-tech activities. And hence, what we find is that the essential objective is to make these cities sufficiently investment-friendly in the present day, acceptable to the credit rating agencies, and help them to emerge as geostrategic points. And to achieve this, a very interesting thing has happened through NURM. To achieve this NURM is floated as a national vision of urban planning, without considering the regionalness of the cities, without considering the regional resource pattern where the cities are located. So it has to be some kind of a homogeneous urban planning mechanism. And in this vision, what is very, very important is some particular types of projects which indiscriminately are being fashioned in all these cities. And what we find by this is, first, there is an intense gentrification of the urban space. There is a dramatic recasting of the urban form and governance. There is a very quick change of land use in specific locations, for which a process of place-specific valorization and devalorization is occurring. This is a typical way of theoretically, approaching the nature of change, land use change in certain areas, that if you are really not able to do it, valorize a place or devalorize a place. And when you devalorize a place, then many of these input costs, they come down, and then you again revalorize it and bring in capital there. This has been working in the industrial regions. Many of you know about the decline of industrial regions in different parts of the world, and then the revalorization. But it is happening in Indian cities now. There are increasing socio-spatial inequalities which are found occurring in Indian cities. Not that Indian cities were free from socio-spatial inequalities. In Mumbai, where I stay, 68% of the population live in slums, but they're not hidden. They're there in the slums, And if they are made to be hidden, then it is a problem. 68%, 32%, yes, it's a problem. There are new modern activities which are coming up in some specific locations at the cost of some other areas within the urban centers. And by this, there is a reconceptualization of urban. What is urban? What is this urban center in relation to the periphery? What is the role of the cities in terms of a region? What is the role of the cities in terms of regional development? These are some of the concepts, these are some of the questions which we have always asked when we have tried to define urban. What is an urban? What is a growth center? What is an urban center? And how an urban center is important for a region. What we are finding now in India is a gradual dissociation of the big cities, large cities, mega cities, from their respective regions. And even in case of Mumbai, there has been some kind of a demand from the CEOs of various big organizations that Mumbai need not be a part of Maharashtra. Mumbai can really be a central city, because Mumbai deserves that. And that's a very important question, very serious question, which we have to face. There has been this reconceptualization of urban, which is getting more and more and more integrally associated with displacement and dispossession of the urban poor, who were already poor, but they were not dispossessed in the way they are now becoming dispossessed in the cities, aided by other methods of marginalization, like Closure of mills in Mumbai, of course. I mean, I think many of you know that Mumbai was actually the industrial capital of India. And now Mumbai is being known, and Mumbai is wanted to be known as the financial center of India. There's no talk about the industrial employment in Mumbai anymore. Okay. And there are many anti-poor legal orders. There are regulations which are coming up in various cities against the informal workers, against hawkers. They are occupying space. And one of our young colleagues, sitting in the US, he was arguing, and we always argue that whether it really suits in the analysis of cities in South Asia or other parts of Asia, that hiding the poor in the process of hiding poverty. That is very important point, that there are now very official regulations which are coming up in India, which are extremely anti-poor regulations. And in some of the cities, in some of the states, I must mention the state of West Bengal, from where I originally hail, the state government has actually leveled the hawkers as illegal encroachers on the public land. And that has really raised serious debates in the country. This is the background, With this background, that is background of what's happening to the Indian cities, if we now look at, the externally assisted urban sector projects in India since 1947, we find that till date it is actually more than $230 million US, externally assisted urban sector projects. And I'm sure that all of you know that in mid-1990s, in 1991, India introduced the new economic policy, liberalization of the economic sectors. Following the introduction of the new economic policy, it was felt that the infrastructural face of the cities needs a change. That was the most important problem which was identified. And it was this reason that actually led to a major overhauling of the administrative and legislative frameworks of the government that smoothened the process of involving IFIs, international financial institutions like World Bank, like ADB, like USAID, like DFID, in the drafting of the urban reforms mandate. This is important. The urban reforms mandate in India, which actually is getting epitomized through NURM, has got a lot to do with the involvement of IFIs in drafting, And therefore, we can say that it marked the beginning of a new regime of regulation in the Indian urban sector that cleared the ground for vigorous implementation of state-sponsored such types of programs. All these programs are state-sponsored because, as I told you, that the NURM is a policy floated by the central government. But yes, in India there are states, and there are some subjects which are state subjects. But in this case, it has become mandatory. For all the cities in India, it's not written it is mandatory, it's written it is optional. But if the cities are not going in for this, they're not going to get the budgets. Because there has been a total refashioning in the enactment of the budget, in the provision of the distribution of the budget. So, in one way or other, the cities have to join the bandwagon of NURM.